Welcome to the Misfit One Lifestyles with Elizabeth Colin. She will awaken and connect with your Misfit One. Are you tired of the ups and downs in your life? Are you ready to live a healthy lifestyle once and for all? We are talking about all aspects of your life. Being fit is not just physical, it's also your mind and soul. Learn how to take steps in your life to move towards your goals. Elizabeth's goal is for everyone listening to the sound of her voice to get fit. Let's get focused, let's get intentional, and let's transform. Now here's your host, Elizabeth Colin.
Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Misfit One Lifestyles with your host, Elizabeth Colin, also known as Misfit One. And today's guest is someone we must speak with because this woman has been able to transform not only her life, but many women in my predicament, that midlife area, and just make the world a better place. Welcome today, Lori. How are you?
I'm doing really well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I am too. Now listen, her name says it all, Lori Seitz. Y'all better stop with that. Her mama and daddy knew what they was doing. Lori Seitz. So she is the CEO of Zen Rabbit. And I looked it up, you guys. You guys have to go to the website. And can you give us the website name?
It's zenrabbit.com. Really easy.
When I tell you, I thought I had the wrong website. I'm like, what? Oh, I love it. I love it. Talk to me about, first of all, let them know who you are and how did Zen Rabbit come to play?
Yeah, well, I have a background in marketing, 25 plus years in marketing and broadcasting, and started my first business in 2003. I was making and marketing a product called the Gratitude Cookie that was based on a family recipe and was selling it to business people as a way for them to say thank you to their clients and to people who sent them referrals. So this time of year, what we're recording now, back then was insane.
I can imagine.
Yeah. But so I ran that business for 11 years, couldn't quite scale it the way I wanted to, and ended up shutting it down in 2011. But the name Zen Rabbit comes from that. It was Zen Rabbit Baking Company because and you can see this story on the website too, under the About section. My mom put a stuffed rabbit in my crib when I was an infant and realized she could take all the other animals out, but the rabbit better be in the crib or I wasn't sleeping. And as I got older, I would rub her ears for comfort, the way kids have, a blankie or something that brings them comfort. So she was essentially my Zen rabbit, although I didn't call her that at the time. But when I started making these cookies for people, they would be like, oh my gosh, these are so good. And then it would bring them back to this time of baking in the kitchen with grandma and their Zen blissful place.
I love it. Everybody needs a Zen rabbit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because you kind of lose that when you get older. We lose that safety or that blanket or whatever it was, a rabbit that made us feel centered and grounded.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, can I tell you a secret?
Tell me.
I still have her.
Do you?
She does not resemble her
original
old self at all. She's just basically like a pile of strings, but I still have her.
I mean, but that's like a definition of us too, right? We don't look exactly like we look when we first had it, but
right.
we're still around.
Right.
We are still here. That is so awesome, Lori. Listen, I really appreciate what you do. And it's crazy because we have such a kindred spirit. And I totally believe in manifesting and gratitude and, think it so you will be it. Those things are my whole everything, my whole world. Like I was doing it as a kid, right? And that, Remember Dear God, Is Me, Margaret?
Yes.
Once I read that book, it was like, Dear God, Is Me, Elizabeth. And I mean, I was doing that even as a kid, didn't even know what that was about, but I did that. And so what I would love for you to talk to us about today is how to use your gratitude in growing your business, because you came from a lot. You went through a 22-year marriage, and I want to touch on that because that puts us to where we are today.
Mhm.
And I mean, just kudos to you. So let's dig in there. Let's see how did that affect you, first of all?
You want to talk about the marriage?
22-year-old, yes.
22-year marriage? Yeah. Well, so we met when I was 23 years old, and we were together for almost 30 years. So we were married for 22, but together for almost 30. And so that was my entire adult life. And there wasn't anything particularly horrible.
Right.
Everything was fine.
Right.
It was fine. Like my whole program of, I don't know what your rating on this show is.
I
can say it.
Space. Yes, please.
Okay. All right. So my whole program is called Fuck Being Fine.
Yes.
Because we get to this point where you're just like, everything's been fine for a very long time. And that was okay. We're just going along. But you get to this point in your life and you're like, no, I'm not content with just fine anymore. Fuck it. What else is there? Where else can I go with my life? Because your soul is crying out for growth. That's what it always wants.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. When you guys go to her website, that was like amazing to me. Fuck being fine. As a matter of fact, we should say it together. Fuck being
fine. Yeah. And so
that's hard to learn.
It is hard to learn because especially a lot of women want to please everybody else, make sure everybody else is taken care of before they address their own stuff. And I don't know that was really my tendency that much, but I was in it. I wanted to make sure that I didn't want to be hurtful to him.
Right.
And so I stayed and neither one of us, this relationship got to the point where it wasn't serving either one of us. And we both knew it, but he would have never initiated.
That happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Men know, they don't say it. It usually is the woman who actually have to pull the trigger, and the only way a man generally pulls a trigger if it's another woman kind of pulling them out. So, it's great that you finally said, all right, fuck being fine, and let's do something about this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we're still cordial. I mean, there's no animosity at all. We have, we're not hanging out all the time together, but there's also, we collaborate on things. My nephew's birthday is coming up, and my nephew and my, and he are really close. So I'm always like, all right, so what are we getting him for his birthday?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. People don't realize that a lot of times that you don't have to be enemies. I have plenty of exes. When I say exes, I'm not talking about ex-boyfriends. Y'all already know my whole thing. I got plenty of ex-husbands, and we all cool. We all are cool. We can talk. Nobody want to fight nobody. Nobody want to kill nobody. I mean, maybe in the moment.
Yeah.
But not anymore. But no. What's so great about it is when you transform from that after 20, 30 years with this person, that in itself had to be, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but had to be a difficult transition.
It was the hardest thing I have ever done. And I've been through the death of my mother, which was also difficult, but not even a comparison to this, because I was choosing to do this. And the guilt was tremendous. Even though I knew it was the right thing, it's still like, well, why can't I make it work?
Right.
What's wrong? I committed. My parents divorced when I was 11, and I said, I would never want to do that. I'm going to stay married forever.
Forever. Yeah.
And then it just wasn't, what was wrong and what was wrong with me that I couldn't make it work.
Right, right. Oh, and what I hear is, which is profound, is that this is something you choose to do.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna let that sit in. Like, I'm gonna let you sit with that for a moment, guys, because it's not something that we are forced to do, or you have, sometimes in life, in order to be better than fine, you have to make choices,
Yeah.
even if they're difficult choices. Am I right, Lori?
100%. And very often they are difficult choices. That's where growth comes from.
And when we're talking about growth, and I talk about manifesting a lot, and how we have to do those things to rediscover our purpose, and because honestly, it's like creating a whole new Lori
Mhm.
without this individual.
Yeah. Yeah.
How did you go about that?
So I moved out of our house and in Virginia and moved all the way across the country to California because I had some friends out there. And so I thought, all right, well, let me move somewhere where I know some people.
Right.
It wasn't enough to just move out, and move to the next town or something. I had to go all the way across the country.
Right.
Stayed there for a year. But part of the reason, aside from the friends, I needed that space, like physical space, to
Mhm.
get the perspective that I needed to get. And then I stayed out for a year and came back to Virginia because this is where I consider home. But
Right.
I needed to do that. And that's a huge change to take. And I was moving with 2 cats and just, yeah, it wasn't a small down the street thing.
No. I mean, it is definitely rediscovering you, and that's a part of you moving across country,
Mhm.
and you did it. Like, you were capable of it. It
Yeah.
wasn't impossible, right? And
Right.
so when you learn to rediscover yourself, or finding who you are, um, what techniques did you use? Because I'm saying this because I remember when because I lost over 115 pounds.
Mhm.
And so I had to find me, right? Because that's a whole different person that people will see. I'm the
Mhm.
same person on the inside, but people will see a different me, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I had to I used a lot of visualization, manifestation, just all the Cations, Asians, and nations. I used them all. So in order to do that, did you use and gratitude was like heavy, heavy,
Mhm.
heavy, heavy for me. I was grateful for every day. I was grateful for this moment. I'm grateful for this. Were you doing any of that when you were doing your transformation?
Absolutely. Gratitude and meditation. So gratitude was the basis of that whole first business. And I was talking when I was running that business, talking a lot about how to use gratitude in business as a differentiated factor, how to use it just to build a strong business. I mean, everything having to do with gratitude. So that was already something that was pretty ingrained in me. And
Right.
then meditation. So my mom took my brother and me to a meditation course when I was 10 years old. Yeah. That was probably one of the greatest gifts she could have given us.
Go
However, I didn't use it for the next 40 something years. I not consistently. I would
But
do it the basis was there.
the seed was planted,
Mhm.
right? The seed was planted, and you're like, okay, you could do this.
Yeah. Yeah. So after she passed away in 2014, actually around the same time I was closing the business. So I had to go through the mourning of both of those things at the same time.
Right.
But that's kind of when I came back to meditation on a consistent basis and started practicing it every day or almost every day. And so
Right.
then when I moved out in 2018, that was a major piece of how I kept my sanity. The other piece was friends, because thank God for them. I mean, really not enough gratitude for how they supported me and how
Right.
we all do with our girlfriends. I mean,
I think that that's so important for, for a woman. And it's just weird when I hear a woman say, I don't really have friends. I'm like, well, what? Like, how you living your life? Like,
mhm, mhm.
girlfriends, because
Yeah.
without my girlfriends, I wouldn't know what to do. And
Yeah.
and let me just insert here, Lori, that just so people know, when we talk about you and Zen Rabbit, you are the expert in gratitude and meditation, and she uses it all for the fact of getting your goals faster. So, when we are just talking, it's not just about her, leaving after 20 something years and this, but just so that you know that you can use meditation and gratitude to change your life.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, one of the things about gratitude that that if you're not a naturally grateful person, which I wasn't when I started that business, and I had a mentor and friend who pointed that out to me, uh,
Wow.
and gave me a challenge to follow, which was, I don't know if you're familiar with the book, The Science of Getting Rich by Wallace D. Wattles. It was written in the
Oh,
1930s.
yeah, yeah. I heard of it, but I've never read it. I'm gonna have to write it down and try.
Okay. Yeah. The Science of Getting Rich, chapter 7 is on gratitude. And so his challenge to me when I was first starting that business was to read that chapter for 30 days in a row, every day, once at night, once in the evening.
Wow.
Yeah. And to just really get this concept of gratitude drilled in.
Because a lot of people, I teach, online courses, and of course, one of the things we talk about is gratitude, because that's part of your whole wellness, right?
Yeah,
Is that's
absolutely.
that's part of being a, a whole well-being human being.
Mhm.
And a lot of people are like, I don't really get it, it's like hard. So I'm glad that you suggested that. And you guys, the science of gratitude,
The Science
or
of Getting Rich.
of getting rich, right? Chapter 7.
Chapter 7 is on gratitude, and that book is available for free online if you search, because it's I forget what they call it, but it's, like, in the public domain now.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I'm definitely going to do that. Now, go ahead, finish. And so
Yeah.
after you read it, it changed your
It
mindset.
it totally changed my perspective, although, so the story I tell when I'm speaking on stages is that at the end of the 30 days, on the 30th day, the editor from Oprah's magazine called and wanted to put the gratitude cookies in Oprah's favorite things. And look at your face right now. That's the reaction I always get. Like, "What? Really?" And then I go, "Yeah,
Oh my
no, that didn't really happen." And so the truth is nothing noticeable happened at all.
God. I love that. I love that. But everybody, you say Oprah, everybody go, whoa,
Right? Oprah's
right?
favorite things? What? No, I was trying to get into them, but it
Right,
never
right.
happened. But what I really noticed the change was a few months later. I was driving home from a friend's house, Thanksgiving, actually. It's funny that it was Thanksgiving. Driving home from Thanksgiving dinner, and about 90 miles up the highway, and was almost home, and smoke started pouring out of the front of my car, and I managed to get to the pull off at the next exit into a gas station that was open there and call a tow truck.
Right.
And I immediately, so normally what would have happened is, "Oh my god, I can't
How
freaking
can this?
believe this. It's 11:30 at night. This freaking like
Oh, yeah,
your
absolutely.
hair is like, ah."
They're singeing. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
absolutely. Yeah.
But instead, I went immediately to gratitude. Like, thank God I was able to get off the highway safely. And a tow
Yes.
truck driver is coming on Thanksgiving at 11:30 at night. And thank goodness we're only 5 miles from home. And immediately to gratitude. And that was when I noticed the shift.
Same. Yeah. I love that. I love that because it takes practice. It
Yes.
takes practice. You know how people say, I heard this in a Bible study. I do that, and they were talking about the story of my life. Every time something bad happens,
Mm,
the story of my life. Did you
yeah.
hear that one? Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, but keep going because I want to add
Yeah.
something.
Okay. So we said the story of my life, and it's usually bad things, but the story of our life is where we think, what we perceive it, right? Is that what you're
Yeah.
going to say, Lord?
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Go ahead.
what you look for is what you will find. The more you look for things to criticize or complain about, the more you will find. And the more you look for things to be grateful for, the more things to be grateful for will show up in your life.
Bam. Is that a magic formula? I think we just let out the magic formula for the best life ever.
Yeah.
Right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because your words go in front of you. So they're like, think of them as like in football, you have tackle, they go out and they got you, right? They're gonna go out and do what you say. And if you're saying negative, just going out there looking for the negative and set up the positive. So I really, really just love everything about you, Lori. Can I tell you that I'm just so grateful, really. Look, my gratitude about you coming on today and just giving us a little knowledge. But before we wrap this up, I have to find out, what do you do in order to take care of yourself? What does your self-care look like?
I meditate every morning before I get out of bed. When I'm still in that kind of it's called beta or alpha. It's alpha state of brainwave, which alpha is that halfway between fully asleep and fully awake.
Yeah.
And that's when your subconscious is the most open.
Conscious.
Suggestion. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's the most open to suggestion.
Yeah.
And so I meditate every day. At this point, I've been doing it for several years. And if I don't do that, it's almost like leaving the house without brushing your teeth. It feels awkward and uncomfortable and no, something's wrong here.
Right.
Yeah.
Everybody stay back, right? Yeah. That is important to do. I also meditate every morning before I get out of bed. And I noticed that if I skip, just like you, Lori, I just feel off. Like just not right, so I have to get it in. But if it's any way that you can give the listeners 3 tips on how to get started. I love the one about the book, and you can find that, in doing gratitude and using, meditation and gratitude to grow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have an exercise for your listeners to help them in addition to reading the book. It's called the But I'm Grateful For exercise. So next time you catch yourself complaining or criticizing, which you will because we're human and we do, the next time, catch yourself and say, but I'm grateful for. And it doesn't have to be something related to what you were complaining about. Like, I can't believe we got the car broke down like this, but I'm grateful a tow truck's coming. They're kind of related. It doesn't even have to be related. It could be, I'm
grateful I'm alive. I'm grateful I'm breathing.
Right.
I'm grateful. Right. Yeah. For whatever. I got clothes on. I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Whatever
Right. I can hear whatever it is. You can always find something to be grateful for, no matter how terrible the situation. And I want to just clarify too, that doesn't mean not to have emotions like sadness and anger and resentment, though, again, part of being human. At the same time, you can find some gratitude in there.
Absolutely. Yeah, because our feelings are real feelings. It's for
Yes,
real. Yeah, it's just
right. We're
sitting,
not in.
and that's a whole thing. That's a
Yeah,
real thing. We have feelings, and it's we should acknowledge them instead
yes,
of just yeah, yeah,
100% acknowledge and honor them.
right.
At the same time, you can find gratitude. So it's not one or the other.
One or the other. Absolutely, absolutely. I love that. So the exercise.
Yeah. And then the other thing I recommend is just taking some time every day, whether you're meditating, and a lot of what I talk about when I'm doing presentations and when I'm doing my coaching programs is breaking down the myths and misconceptions around what meditation really is, because people have a preconceived notion. And we're not getting all into that right now. But even if you take 60 seconds to just stop and breathe deeply, like focus on your breathing, feel the air coming in, going all the way down to your abdomen, because we're all breathing because we're still alive. However, a lot of people do not breathe deeply. They're breathing very shallowly. So when you can take some time to really breathe in some fresh air all the way down, you're oxygenating your brain, your blood. It helps you become more focused, more clear, more creative, less reactive. So you're going to find you have better relationships because you're not flying off the handle all the time, and you're stopping to respond instead of react.
React. Okay, y'all heard that before. And so I'm loving all of this, Lori. Tell them, tell the people, tell them.
Yeah. So that is, just stopping and taking some time to breathe.
I love it. This has been phenomenal. I really appreciate you. Now tell us, how can we stay connected with you?
Yeah. ZenRabbit.com.
Mhm.
And I just put together a new guide called 5 Easy Ways to Start Living the Sabbatical Life.
Mm.
And that's available on the homepage of the website. You can go there and download that for free.
ZenRabbit.com. Lori, you are phenomenal. Thank you so much.
Thank
I really
you.
appreciate you for coming on and giving us some guidance that, we make choices in our life and that we can stand by them, go through them, and still find gratitude in the hard things.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. Is it anything that you want to tell the people that I did not hit on and you want to get out to the listeners?
I think we covered a lot.
We did. This was awesome.
It was.
Thank you. And until next time, you guys, live fit. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Misfit One Lifestyles. Listen, when you are fed up and sick and tired of living this stifled, overwhelmed, and overstressed life, and you're ready to live the fullest, richest, and healthiest life by gaining more confidence, more energy, and more clarity, living in your best self, you know what to do, right? Go ahead, go to my website, misfit1.com. Sign up for our online courses, Creating Healthy Habits, so that you too can live fit, focus, move with intention, and transform your life.